Alright, so I'm sure we all saw the news that Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed until February 2025. Now, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Good in the sense that a longer wait to release obviously means more time to work on the game, or could it be bad in the sense that perhaps Ubisoft is preparing for this game to ultimately tank? Look, I think if Shadows doesn't work out, this will be the biggest red stain on Ubisoft's history in gaming development. And they've had some pretty shiesty launches before. I mean, if you want reference, just go look how Star Wars Outlaws is performing at the moment. And I reviewed that game on my channel. I said that I enjoyed that game, but it is the buggiest title that I've ever played. And how unfortunate for Ubisoft that Shadows is already marred in absolute controversy. And a bigger issue for me beyond that is the price of the game. Ubisoft's store in Australia has delisted the gold and the ultimate editions of this game. Sony has also removed their prices for all of their editions and changed the game status to just announced. EB Games still has their listings online. I did do a quick Google, and the Xbox store still has theirs as well. The gold edition on the Xbox store is currently sitting at $158. So that's the full game, the season pass, and thrown to the dogs, which I'm guessing is a side quest probably. This edition also gives 3 days early access, which on a side note is completely destroying the correct way to monetize any game, whether it be single player or multiplayer. Every game that I've reviewed recently has had the same early access period locked behind the same perk of paying extra money, which is probably a discussion for a much longer video. And as just discussed, Ubisoft is dealing with Star Wars Outlaws. That game had launched with a horrendous number of bugs. It's had a very, very bad reception from the community, and they're still trying to fix it. There was a post the other day about future updates and the game coming to Steam and a whole bunch of other stuff. So Ubisoft, I think, will probably want to focus on this before releasing what could potentially be their next big issue. And that's not to mention, it's been a rough few years for the Assassin's Creed brand. For me, on the surface, Valhalla seemed like a fun time. After about 80 hours, I fell out of love with it and I couldn't go back to it. I've replayed Odyssey twice since Valhalla released, and I understand the game so much better than I initially did the first time I played it. It's not a great Assassin's Creed game in the sense of universal lore, but from a fantasy RPG perspective, it's a pretty good game. And I'm not gonna lie here, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is definitely what would be the equivalent of my guilty pleasure. And I think the last few years of issues from Assassin's Creed sort of stems back from Origins. It was a soft reboot of the series, a new protagonist after Syndicate, which at the time I remember feeling very burnt out on the series with how many titles they had been throwing at us at such a rapid pace, right? And Origins worked really well. They smashed it, they were on that right track. Ubisoft saw that it worked to such a degree and wanted something bigger and better. The greed and the need to push more units as an organization. If there's ever going to be a documentary on Ubisoft, it's not going to be called The Fast and the Furious. It's going to be called The Need and the Greedy, because that's essentially what had happened after Origins had released. And then Mirage come along, which I thought was pretty fantastic. It didn't launch with many new innovations, but it got rid of quite a few annoying concepts from the RPG eras. Although Ubisoft hasn't learnt yet, because they're still putting those freaking annoying barred doors in the game, and they just need to straight up get rid of those. I mean, come on. How many more years are we going to have to suffer the barred door debacle? Ubisoft released a demo 3 months ago, which I'm sure many of you have seen for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it was pretty interesting. I remember watching the reveal after work. I was quite excited with what we had seen, the footage that we got, although there was definitely a stiffness about it, especially when the reviewer was playing as Yasuke. And I really do hope that this kind of stuff gets ironed out in the next few months, and that would make me ultimately thankful that the game has been delayed until February. And in that kind of moment, it does make me wonder whether Ubisoft is going the wrong way with the dual protagonist system, whether this is going to be something that prevents Quebec from getting their flowers, so to speak. They contributed to heavy hitters like Brotherhood and Black Flag. They also developed Syndicate and Odyssey. I think even with the delays, this game isn't going to fix the formula. This game is not going to restore Ubisoft to their former glory, and they're still going to be in the same position of making very mediocre games. And I think at this point, they need to thank their stars that they have enough hardcore fans that are basically keeping them in a position where they can keep making these very mediocre games. And I'm guilty as charged. I play everything in the Assassin's Creed series, whether I love it or hate it, because I just like the series that much. And like Valhalla, 80 hours in, I said I didn't like the game and I played for 80 hours. Me not liking a game, I won't play it for 80 hours. If I review it, I'll review it and put it down and never touch it again. If I don't review it, I'll probably play it for 5 minutes and then turn it off. Like, you know, it's not a big deal. But I played that thing for 80 hours, so that shows the dedication that I give Assassin's Creed, whether I like what they're doing or not. But I think this is a situation where Ubisoft will just sweep the indiscretions under the carpet, keep developing games and keep pushing out things, and hope that it attracts enough attention in the ether to keep doing what they're doing, which probably isn't healthy for the consumer, right? And when the demo released, I saw so many comparisons to Ghost of Tsushima. And I gotta say, Sucker Punch doesn't own the genre. But when you do something so well, it really needs to be recognized. And it needs to be said that the quality for the competitors must be high. You can't come trying to knock over Ghost of Tsushima. Not that that's what Ubisoft is trying to do, but you simply can't knock over a game like Ghost of Tsushima with only having a half-tiered product release. If you're gonna take on a giant, you need to be a giant. And you remember back when Assassin's Creed 2 came out, they had been the captain of industry in this type of genre. When they brought out Assassin's Creed 2, Black Flag, Brotherhood, nobody was touching what Ubisoft was doing at that time. I mean, there wasn't a bigger deal in gaming for quite a while when Ezio Auditore was kicking around, you know? And Revelations, to be honest, wasn't even that great in terms of a sequel. I mean, it's a fantastic game, don't get me wrong, but it didn't innovate in the way that Brotherhood did from AC2. And even that wasn't really getting touched at the time when it came out. So, like I said, this could be a two-way thing. We could have a game come out that shocks the crap out of us, and then the delays certainly would have been worth it. Or we could get to February and then, you know, be nervous when the game releases and play it and not enjoy it and see it get absolutely obliterated online like Outlaws is at the moment. But by God, let me tell you, I want this game to be good. I really, because I'm going to play the hell out of it either way. I'm going to review the game. That's a given. I made multiple videos on Mirage, which I don't generally do. Maybe I'll do that on Shadows. Who knows? Only time can tell. But I'm going to play it either way. So I would much rather enjoy it than play it and be like, this game could be better, right? So I am hoping to all heavens that this game comes in a complete state, that it works really well. And Ubisoft has already indicated that they'll be supporting this game, probably just as long as they supported Valhalla. So I would really like to have a product that I could stick to for what, 2 years I think Valhalla was supported. And I'd love to be completely proud once again of what Ubisoft is doing with this series. But it feels like it's been so long since that's genuinely happened. Aside from a few wins here and there, Mirage I think was a win. Valhalla definitely had some wins, but I want to see a total win. I don't want to see them come just for 10%. I want to see them come for the whole damn thing. So interpret this as you want and take what you will as you will. I'm really excited to see how this game will unfold. However, as we know, only time can tell. Feel free to comment down below and tell me what you're playing at the moment. Until then, this was a good discussion and I'll see you in the next video.